Hey, what is up YouTube? It's Alot here. Today I want to talk about how Halo 5 is better than the older Halos in some regards, and how nostalgia blinds people from seeing the truth, and somewhat kind of fuzzes their memory a little bit. Now, what brought this on was the fact that I was actually playing some of the older Halos, such as Halo 2 and Halo 3, and the gameplay just felt so sluggish and slow. And on top of that, the game just had some really bad glaring problems that just absolutely ruined the experience for me, and it's not at all what I remembered it being. One of the glaring problems that I'm talking about actually has to deal with the spawn system in Halo 2 and in Halo 3. A very good example of the spawning system just being outright atrocious is if you go play Halo 2 Classic and you play on the map Asylum. I actually forget its real name, but that was its name in Reach. You will spawn, majority of the time you'll spawn relatively near an enemy wherever you first spawn into the game. Majority of the time that I played, I spawned at rock spawn on, I think it's red side, and an enemy has spawned beside me, despite the fact that it's a team game and not an FFA game. This is kind of embarrassing because a lot of the times my teammates would spawn somewhere else, and it's just outright infuriating. On Halo 3, if you play on a map such as Guardian, then a lot of times if you're playing FFA or even a team game, you'll spawn relatively close to enemies, which is to be expected. It's a close quarters map. However, the amount of times that you do it and you don't get a safe spawn is just ridiculous. A lot of times I'd find myself spawning beside an enemy team and being mowed down multiple times just because I had a bad spawn. Or I'd spawn around the corner from an enemy who had already been in a gunfight and I get a cheap kill just because his shields were already down. And that kind of stuff just infuriates me, and it's kind of sad. Nostalgia has blinded a lot of people to Halo and kind of made them forget about just how bad Halo problems were, and they usually don't accept whenever you point them out to them. Very good example is if you point out any problem, any sort of problem with the spawn system in Halo, and people will generally call you out and call you a noob because the spawn system, knowing it, takes skill, which yes, it does. Mastering the spawn system does take skill, but it's not necessarily what anyone is referring to whenever they say Halo has broken spawn. Another huge glaring problem that people who absolutely love Halo tend to overlook is just the awful weapon balancing that was in Halo 2 and Halo 3. Now, if you look at Halo 3 or Halo 2, then you'll see a lot of times that people tend to use the battle rifle above all other weapons. Halo 3, if you take a look at that, the starter weapons such as the assault rifle and pistol were paperweights. They were useless. No one enjoyed using them. And as a matter of fact, in their close quarters combat niche, for the assault rifle's case, it was just absolutely useless. If you had a battle rifle, then a lot of times you could outplay someone who had an assault rifle. It didn't matter if you were in close quarters combat. I mean, it was just pathetic, and it kind of infuriated me just at how bad the weapon balancing in the game was. If you look at Halo 2, then in Halo 2 is even worse. A lot of the guns were just outright beat by the battle rifle because of button glitches and just because of the faster time to kill that the battle rifle offered. And that just it just ruined the game for a lot of people, myself included. If you look at Halo 5, a lot of people have disdain for it, but not necessarily with good reason. As a matter of fact, a lot of the reasons are totally shitty. They believe that weapon balancing will somehow cause the game to be codified, but if you look at that assault rifle in Halo 5, the assault rifle is a very, very good all-around weapon. It doesn't necessarily excel at anything, but it doesn't necessarily suck at anything either. It's a very good starter weapon. It's a very competent weapon, and it can hold its own. It can generally beat a battle rifle or an SMG at medium range majority of the time. And I would actually say it's not necessarily in its favor. I would have to say that it's just kind of 50-50 for the chance of beating the weapon, because it's really dependent on the person's skill. However, the SMG can absolutely shred the assault rifle in close quarters combat, and at longer ranges the battle rifle can just dominate the assault rifle just because it doesn't have that accuracy. And that's what I really love about Halo 5. The weapons are all really balanced and really fine-tuned to do a specific job. And 343 has done an amazing job at making that very clear and making that point. And I'm very, very happy about that, because no other Halo have we had this amazing weapon balancing. Other than, say, Halo 4, which I think Halo 4 really started it, Halo 4 did have some weapons that were good outside of their niche, such as the assault rifle. It was not necessarily as good as it was in Halo 5, but it definitely was a better weapon. And I really promptly enjoyed that. I thought that was a very, very neat factor. And overall, just a lot of people were blinded, by nostalgia and think that the weapon balancing, as again, will just kind of codify Halo and somehow make the game awful, because you're only supposed to have battle rifles and sniper rifles, and that's it, and that's the way you're supposed to play Halo, with only 2 weapons. Now, the final thing that I want to mention is actually twofold with the matchmaking system. One was the pairing system, which for both Halo 2 and Halo 3 was just outright atrocious. A lot of the times you'd have one good player on each team who were trying to win faster than their teammates could lose. And that was just how the game played in general. It was a very infuriating experience, and it ruined the experience for a lot of players who were better at the game, because they could never get paired up with people who were around their skill level and could never really have a good game unless they were playing with friends. If you were playing with friends, then that was just about the only chance you had of finding a good game or actually going on a winning streak. And that's somewhat true for any game, but I personally feel that Halo 2 and Halo 3 had the worst of this. Now, the other thing is the ranked matchmaking. Now, ranked matchmaking I personally love. I always thought it was a good thing, but in both Halo 2 and Halo 3 it's broken. Halo 2 had a problem where in early development it was just plagued by hackers, and it was just absolutely atrocious, and it was almost unplayable at times just because people would hack and there wasn't necessarily any repercussions for doing so. And then Bungie forged the ban hammer and then banned some motherfuckers, and then hacking somewhat slowed down and stopped. But still, you had people who were ranked 50 who didn't necessarily earn the 50. And then in Halo 3 you had a bunch of D-rankers, and you had people boosting, and it was just outright infuriating. And on top of that, something was wrong with the ranking system in Halo 3. What would happen is you'd say lose a couple of games and then you'd win like 3 more. So you'd go up one rank, and then from that rank you win say 4 more games, but you'd lose your 5th, and then it dragged you all the way back down to the previous rank. So you essentially have all your hard work flushed down the drain. And that was just very infuriating. A lot of people, myself included, just stopped playing the ranked playlist because it was essentially worthless. As a matter of fact, I remember one time I won 10 games in a row with friends, only to not rank up. And it was very prominent, and I was like, okay, I'm done. That was the point that I quit playing ranked for Halo. And a lot of people will tell you that Halo has the best matchmaking system. It has the best rank. I myself have even told you this. And we're somewhat blinded by nostalgia, and nostalgia can be a very good thing, but it can also be a very, very bad thing that hampers memory and causes a little bit of, I guess, bad judgment in some cases. So, I would say don't necessarily say anything about a game or perhaps about an experience unless it happens again. So, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I really hope you guys found this interesting. I really hope that you guys enjoy this kind of stuff. This is Overlord signing out, and I will see you guys next time.